So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the Helix preset that I came up with based on Pat Metheny's famous Roland synth-guitar type sound. And this is the best one that I've heard so far coming out of the Helix. I've spent a lot of time researching and listening to people's different versions and spent a lot of time in HX Edit trying to come up with this version. So I'm just going to be sharing with you the settings that I came up with and as well some tips to go along with creating other synth patches if you want to get into that in the Helix. I have the HX Stomp. You can see I'm limited to 6 patches, but that's really all you need for this sound. And in fact, if you have one of the bigger units, then that's cool. You can start experimenting and adding other different effects in there to alter the sound as you like. The first thing I have to say always is set your input impedance as best as you can. That fits your instrument. I go with 1M for this guitar, 230K on my single coils, and that's going to change depending on different instruments and the output and stuff, and if you have active pickups. But that's what I use. There's good videos you can check out online about that. And then the other really important thing here at the beginning is setting an input gate. These are the settings I came up with based on the output volume of this guitar. So again, it might vary for you. But this is going to stop the instrument from creating weird sounds. I don't know. If you slide up and down the neck, you don't mean to play a note, or if you bump the guitar, it's going to stop it from making those weird sounds that we're getting because this patch is not polyphonic. Unfortunately, that's a fault of the Helix synths so far. We haven't gotten a polyphonic one yet. So this preset does take a little bit of practice getting the sound right and with your left hand and making sure that you don't have any extra notes hanging on and gargling the sound up. That's what it sounds like if you start playing chords, which might be cool. But anyway, I digress. And the most important thing I've done so far in this patch is finding the right compression settings. Moving on to the compression block that I came up with, this is going to be probably the most important part and probably the piece that I spent the most time on in this preset. Just trying to get it right, feeding the synth block the correct signal so it can work the best as possible. And the threshold is something that's going to change based on your guitar's output volume. This guitar is about in the middle as far as output volume goes, so just use my 25 dB and you know, kind of judge where your guitar is. If you have active pickups, you can raise the volume, raise the threshold, and if you have single coils, lower it so the compression reacts the same way as it is to this guitar. And here are the settings: a very quick attack release, 6:1 ratio. I set the mix at 90% so that we're still getting the natural guitar attack, your picking attack, just a little bit in there. And then I'm boosting the level. This is a really big thing. So the importance of the compression circuit is to feed the synth patch the right signal. Without the compression block, you're going to get a synth sound that decays very quickly. Not exactly what we're looking for in this scenario. And also if you boost the output volume. So basically what the compressor is doing is feeding a very long sustaining note and also boosting the volume going into the synth block. And these things both help with creating a sound that sustains longer. And this is where the main sound for the setup is coming. Frequency and Q kind of work together. Use that to set like think about it as the high and low, like as you would on an EQ. And then the Q is basically the broadness of that peak. So I think I had it set at 17, right? And that just, to me, sounds the most authentic to Pat Metheny's sound. Wave is where you can start coming up with different sounds. This is going to change the character a lot. So based on my listening, I came up with number 3. That sounds the closest to Pat Metheny. There's 0. Kind of sounds like an organ to me. Yeah, so some cool things in there, but the Pat Metheny sound is in 3, I believe. Pitch is, this might be something cool where you can set it to an expression pedal and play around with this. But basically you're going to want it at 0 or 50% or 100%, nothing in between really. So you can play around with that if you have an expression, assign the expression to it, and you can get some pretty cool sounds. I set mix at 90%, and that's just because this patch and all of the Helix synth stuff, they have latency to them. So this just kind of helps you hear the actual start of the note, so it's not goofing you up too much. But it's definitely, this patch is definitely one that you have to practice with and get the right feel for playing with all this latency. And you'll get it when you try it. It's not too hard. Level negative 18 decibels, and that's just to make up for the massive boost that I sent through with the compressor. Moving on, next is the dual pitch block. It's where I get my octave up and downs sounds. I also should mention that I always have foot switch 3 set up in all of my presets for like a solo boost. So this will give you, if you engage that foot switch, it'll give you 4 decibels boost. That's enough with this patch. It always, it cuts through a lot to begin with, so you don't need that much. And then going into the dual pitch block, this is where I'm getting my octave up and down sounds from. And this took a lot of time in this piece too. Guys, if you're enjoying this, if it's helping you so far, I appreciate a like and a subscription. I do a lot of Helix guitar videos, so I'll have a lot more free patches for you to pick up in the future. When you create this preset yourself, or if you download it from online, you're gonna see what you're seeing on the screen right now, and this is just the stock sound. I think it sounds more along the lines of what people would expect Pat Metheny to sound like. And then if we hit foot switch 2, just something you can play around with. So anyway, pause the video at this point. These are the first setting, and then when you engage foot switch 2, these are the settings that I have set up for foot switch 2. You might not like it, so don't spend too much time there if you don't want to. And then this is all in stereo, by the way. I go on to the stereo chorus, and the cool thing about the Helix that I sometimes mention is you can create an entirely stereo patch, and if you go to a gig and the sound guy complains that he only has one channel for you, just plug one chord into the Helix and it'll automatically start up and sum everything to mono for you. So this is in stereo. This is the chorus sound. It sounds good with and without the chorus block. So I've assigned a bypass for the chorus to foot switch 1. Yeah, so there's the settings for that. And then moving on to the reverb block, it's just a very simple plate type verb. There's not much to it. And I just have it always on. I haven't assigned it to a foot switch or anything. I just think it sounds good. But here's what it sounds like without the verb. And the delay too. I'll turn the delay off. With the verb. Maybe it would sound cool if you add like a type of shimmer thing, like pitch 1. So put it up 12 half steps. Yeah. So anyway, that might be something you can mess around with if you have a larger Helix unit and you want to play around with different reverb sounds. And then finally, the delay. It's just a one-time repeat. Here's the settings for that. It's just a simple delay. That's the name of the sound too. And then finally, in the output block, I normally have it at 0 decibels, but I boosted it to 12 for recording purposes. But if you decide to get my Helix patch, I have information about that in the description, by the way. But basically, it's a one-time donation of, say, $5 or whatever you choose to donate, and you get access to all of my Helix patches. So if building this is going to take a lot of time for you, you don't feel like doing that, make a donation, and I'll send you a link to a Google Drive folder where I have something like 20 presets in right now. They're mostly guitar, amp sounds, clean stuff that sounds great for jazz and everything. And I'm starting to build up some more presets for synth guitar as well. So anyway, I hope that video helped you guys. If it did, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I've got more Helix stuff coming out in the future, free presets for you. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.